Look at parallelograms. And so we're going to look at just part of the information, but first we'll realize that a parallelogram is a quadrilateral. I'll go back to this sheet. Quadrilateral has four sides, and these features are true. Opposite sides are parallel, opposite sides are congruent, opposite angles are congruent, consecutive angles are supplementary, and diagonals bisect each other. Today we're going to look just at these two things right here. But let's look at the basic information about it as far as the words go. So if we look at opposite sides are parallel. So if I look at these two sides, they're parallel. And then these two sides are parallel as well. So these are parallel with each other. And these are parallel with each other. These two are parallel, these two are parallel. It said opposite sides are congruent. So whatever this is the same thing. Whatever this is the same thing. It said that opposite angles are congruent. That means that angle 1 right here and angle 2 over here are congruent. Why put that? Angle 1 is congruent to angle 2, and angle 3 and angle 4 are congruent. Opposite angles are congruent. The next step, so we've covered those three things. Opposite sides are parallel, opposite sides are congruent, opposite angles are congruent. Consecutive angles, what that means is angles along one side. So 1 and 4, 4 and 2, those are consecutive angles. 2 and 3, 1 and 3. Those are supplementary, so they add up to 180. And then the last thing is about the diagonals. They bisect each other. So if I were to draw the diagonals in here, this piece is congruent to this, and this piece is congruent to this. We'll look at those parts tomorrow. Today we're just going to look at these two things, the information about the angle. We're just going to look at some examples about the angles and find different things. And so if we look at these are opposite angles, and what we know is that opposite angles are congruent. So that one's easy. We know that the question mark is 99 degrees. Likewise here, opposite angles, those are 32 degrees. Okay. Now we get ones that are a little bit more difficult. We look at this down here. If this is 27 and this is 100, we want to know what that is. Well, if you ignore this diagonal, these two angles, this whole angle right here and this angle, are consecutive angles. That means they add up to 180. If this is 100, that means that this whole angle over here is 80 degrees. So we take 27 away from 80, 80 minus 27, and I get 53 degrees. And that's what the question mark is. Okay. 34 degrees, well, because these angles are, or these sides are parallel, these are alternate interior angles, they're congruent, so that angle is going to be 34 degrees. So question mark equals 34 degrees. Down here, opposite angles again are congruent, so question mark's 125 degrees. Consecutive angles are supplementary, so question mark plus 61 equals 180, minus the 61, question mark then equals 119 degrees. Now we can do this with a little bit of algebra as well. Okay. If we look at a problem like this, again, these are consecutive angles. That means that this angle and this angle have to equal 180. So I can say 10 plus 4x plus 46, that's this whole angle, plus 80 equals 180. Then what I do is simplify. So I got 4x, 10 plus 46 is 56, plus 80 is 136, equals 180, minus the 136, and I get that 4x equals 44, divide by 4, and I get that x equals 11. Okay. If we look at this one, this angle is 13x plus 4. This angle is 64. I know that these two angles have to be equal. So 13x plus 4 has to equal, let's see, let me look at that again. That's kind of confusing. Let's not use that one. That's kind of confusing of where that is. I think this is probably this angle right here. And so if I look at, those are really confusing. If I look at this angle as 32x minus 1, then this angle would equal this one. So 32x minus 1 equals 79. 32x equals, add the 180. X would equal 80 divided by 32, which 80 divided by 32, and we get 2.5. So we didn't even really need the 38 in there. All right, one last example like this. Again, I know consecutive angles are supplementary. So this plus this equals 180. 49 plus 26 plus 9x plus 15 equals 180. Okay, then it's a matter of just solving again. So 9x, just take a calculator and we go 49 plus 26 plus 15 plus 90 equals 180, minus the 90, and I get that 9x equals 90, divide by 9, and I get that x equals 10. Okay. Down here, again, it's a matter of, are they opposite angles? Are they consecutive angles? If they're opposite, they're congruent. If they're consecutive, they're supplementary. These are consecutive, they're along one side. So 7x minus 7 plus 14x minus 2 has to equal 180. 21x, negative 7 minus 2 is negative 9, equals 180. 21x equals, if I add 9, divide by 21, and x equals 9. Down here again, these are consecutive angles, this angle and this angle. So this plus this plus this equals 180. 4x minus 4 plus 73 plus 12 plus 7x has to equal 180. 4x plus 7x is 11x. Negative 4 plus 73 plus 12, 81. So we minus 81, 180 minus 81, we get 99. We get that x equals 9. And there's the answer. So again, the big thing is if they're opposite angles, like these are, they'd be congruent. 70x has to equal 71x minus 2. Minus the 71x over, we get that x equals 2. If they're consecutive angles, they add up to 180.